Did you see last week was the finale of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? They filmed it, rather.
Oh,
They
no,
did.
I didn't.
You didn't?
I've actually heard nothing about this.
Okay, so
Shocker.
So it's Kyle's infamous white party. We
Oh,
get the white
okay.
party again, which we haven't seen.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been quite some time. And it was also a conduit to Erica Jane's residency in Vegas.
Oh,
She performs.
okay.
She performs at the white party. I can't believe you haven't seen this. So it's
I
in the
haven't.
middle of the football field at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you didn't see this?
That's where Erica Jane is performing?
No, that's where Kyle held her white party.
Are you fucking
I'm
serious?
not joking. Hold on, let me show it to you real quick because I just feel like you need
Kyle
to see
doesn't
this.
come up on my thread at all, but I am surprised that
Okay,
I haven't heard anything about this.
I'm going to show it to you, and then I want your thoughts on this.
Is Kathy there?
I don't think so. I don't know. Y'all keep asking about Kathy, and I just feel like she's not around. She's not going to be on this season.
Well,
I know that no
mean-
one's talking about it, but we need to start accepting. We need to-
Whatever.
We just do. We just do.
That's what Beverly does. You fall in love with someone and then they take them away from you.
That's what Lisa Rinna does.
Well, whatever.
Okay.
Over her.
I showed it to you.
Oh.
I shared it with you.
Oh. Did you text it?
No, Instagram.
Oh. Okay, well then hold on.
I want you to watch
Let me
this.
open the app.
Yeah, I want you to watch this, and let's talk about it for a second.
What a treat for the eyes.
So what did you think? What did you think?
Oh, Kyle's so extra and over the top. It honestly makes the party look so, so small. Because that stadium is
I love
so
how that's your
big.
fucking takeaway. Of course the
Because
party's going to look small against a stadium.
I only could go off of what my eyes just told me looking at the overview. And it was like, it only went maybe like 30 yards deep, that stage. So, listen, it looks like it's going to be fun to watch.
You're
And
pissing me off right now because you're giving nothing.
what?
You're giving nothing because Kyle threw this party and you fucking know it. Just admit it.
Oh, yeah, I can admit that.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I'm not going to give her any credit, at least not right now, until I see how the season turns out.
Why? Because Kathy's
Because I
not a part of it?
can't stand Kyle. So.
I know.
For our new listeners, get ready for the Beverly Hills rundown, baby. Because JJ and I have a lot of opposing opinions, which hopefully will be fun for y'all.
Which is what makes, I think, us and our dynamic, which makes us and our dynamic so great.
But yeah, but I did just see that Denise was there, so I'm excited about that. I did see Dorit. It looked like she was trying to dance. That looks like that might be a good comedy moment. And listen,
So chic.
Erica Jane's looking pretty good. I don't
Erica
know
Jane
how
looks great.
how great the show is, but it
Yeah.
looks like it'll be entertaining. But yeah, that stadium's incredible.
It is incredible. Kyle says it's the best and the most beautiful
Yeah,
stadium
which,
there is.
by the way, Kyle, that was just built, so I don't really know how long she's been saying that. She probably has never even watched a football game. Maybe she has.
Well, look, it's a
Maybe I'm
preview.
projecting.
It's a preview because you are looking to see Taylor Swift at SoFi.
Yeah, I'm gonna be seeing her. So I'll have to gauge. Was Taylor more impressive or Erica Jane?
Well, don't you want it to be one of the best stadiums if you're going to see Taylor Swift there?
Yeah. Well, I don't think the stadium has anything to do with that. It'll be big
Okay.
no matter
Just
what.
you don't want to give Kyle credit for saying that
No,
it's a beautiful stadium.
I forgot about Kyle. Kyle's out of my brain right now. I'm just talking about the stadium. The stadium is really a very attractive stadium.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out.
We'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Very much in the same way that we've been saying. We'll see how Danielle and Lindsay's relationship turns out
Oh
on
my
Summer
God.
House. Look, I can't say that Betsy's not invested in Summer House. She is.
I am
She
invested.
watches,
I dabble.
which is why I love having you on the Summer House recaps because you dibble, you dabble, but you don't give too much of an investment as far as like a recap goes, which is why I like having you because I always want to know what your opinion is. It's a show that you and I just don't talk about necessarily off mic. So
Correct. That's fair.
So that's why I'm excited.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into it.
Yeah. And I like Summer House because I feel like, especially this season, I've really, really liked the new people for the most part. And then they seem to have some fun, which, a little touch and go there a little bit. But yeah, it's not a show that I'm like, oh, it's Monday night. Let me turn on Bravo to watch Summer House. It's always kind of an afterthought, which is nothing against the cast because
know.
honestly, this cast is great.
Yeah.
Give or take a few. But like, I love these people. So it's just sometimes it's a little bit hard for me to get super excited. But here we are. I did watch the episode because JJ told me to. I hadn't watched it, but I did watch it.
You did.
And here we are.
Here we are. We've been waiting for this moment.
I said, oh, it's the reunion, isn't it? And she goes, no, it's the finale. I was like, Jesus Christ. I really thought it was the reunion.
On this train, guys. We're still on this train.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think it's easy to say that this is not one of their best seasons, and I don't disagree. But I think that with the added layer of Vanderpump being so good, it does have an influence on how we see Summer House.
I agree.
I don't think it's its worst season that they've had.
No, I don't either.
But, you know, we're telling one story the entire fucking season. It's very much like Beverly Hills.
Yeah, that was a good
in
transition.
That way. Yeah. Very much like Beverly Hills. But,
so yeah.
Shall we?
Yeah, hopefully
Shall we get into it?
Hopefully I'll hear this. Here we go. The curse. Is the curse going to be lifted?
We'll see. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Reality Bites, the podcast where we'll deep dive into this week's buzziest reality TV and pop culture happenings.
I'm Betsy, and while I may be 9 to 5 by day, I'm a reality connoisseur by night.
And I'm JJ, a reality TV producer by trade, but my favorite pastime is dishing unfiltered dirt and behind-the-scenes scoop. We'll tackle the biggest and best water cooler moments of the week through an insider lens you won't find anywhere else.
Buckle up, buttercups.
Please don't tell me it's about Tom.
It's about Tom.
This is Reality Bites. All right, so again, we arrive at the summer of our discontent. That's what I keep calling it, the summer of our discontent. What were your okay, instead of asking you what your overall feelings are about the episode, I want to know what your feelings were, like how you personally felt when the episode ends. Like what was your overall like feeling? How did you feel about am I asking that question correctly? Yeah, okay.
I thought the episode for the most part was fun. I really liked the party. I saw so many random people there that I feel like, you know, we hadn't seen in a long time. And by random, I mean like I don't know who they are. And they didn't seem to know anybody either, but obviously they were there for somebody. But I thought that seemed very normal, honestly. Like they felt like just a lot of
It's been a minute since we've really seen a big party that they have with a lot of people.
Yeah.
We see it a little bit, not last episode, but the episode before that. But I think because of the zoning and all that shit, like we just haven't seen a big party. So it was
fun.
Really, yeah, it was really nice to end. I love that's our biggest takeaway. It was really nice to end this season on a big party.
Yeah, the party was nice. I liked when everyone jumped in the pool, sort of. I would not have wanted to have done that. But jumped in the pool at the end while Danielle's crying upstairs going to bed. That was kind of sad. But yeah, some comedy, the stuff with Danielle and Lindsay, I am ready for that to come to an end. Kind of not as insufferable because we haven't dealt with it as long. Yeah. So it's not as insufferable as Melissa and Teresa, but kind of in the same sense, I'm ready for this storyline to go away. And I know that we'll talk about it at the reunion, but like, I honestly, I don't know where we're going to, well, I do know where I feel like you're going to land, but like, I don't even want them to be friends at this point because it just seems like a very toxic friendship and I don't want to watch it anymore. But
well, Betsy was really surprised to hear that there are a lot of people out there who simply cannot understand why Danielle is upset. And they are putting Lindsay on some pedestal that is...
I'm baffled.
Yeah, I mean, because, and again, we'll talk about it more, but there are two things going on here. There are two things happening. And I think it's okay to say that Danielle was very wrong and the way that she behaved and the way that she reacted was egregious and quite disappointing, to say the least. But that isn't its entirety. And I think that a lot of people feel as though because Danielle did that, well, that just gives free reign for Lindsay just feeling the way that she's felt all season. There just feels like a lot of, I mean, damn, Lindsay just has a lot of fans out there, a lot of fans who just can't see beyond this, like, I'm this boss bitch, cool girl. And like, it just feels... Yeah. I was shocked. You know, I don't read that much about Summer House. I was also shocked that JJ told me that there's a majority of people out there that feel like Paige and Amanda and Sierra are like mean girls. That was very confusing for me because that's not the vibe that I get at all. Like as though they're the ones that kind of nurture Danielle to
open her eyes.
To open her eyes and almost as if like this has been the trajectory and this has been their goal all along
Yeah, it hasn't.
to oust Lindsay. When is Lindsay going to start taking responsibility? And I don't mean herself because we'll never get that, but when are we as viewers really going to start seeing like Lindsay take responsibility? Like,
Right.
Lindsay, she's culpable in this. She's kind of been
Well,
this way since day one.
Right. And like, I don't think anyone's out there, you'll have to tell me. I don't think anyone's out there saying that like Danielle did nothing wrong. I think that, I mean, you just said it right now. Like,
No, there are a lot of people who are saying everyone.
Wait, that.
Well, okay, because it's two different things. There are a lot of people, the majority of people will say that Danielle was wrong in the way that she behaved
yeah.
the night that Lindsay got engaged.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is it's kind of divisive. There are some people the same people who think that she was wrong in how she behaved, a majority of those people stand by Lindsay. Does that make sense? Like people who can understand where Danielle is coming from, they're still saying what she did was wrong, but they're giving her a little latitude in understanding like why she feels the way that she does in this episode. Okay?
Yeah.
But although the mass majority feels like Danielle was wrong, I would say, I don't know, 2/3 of those people or 3/4 of those people think that Danielle's a horrible person and Lindsay's in the right. I'm being serious.
But that's what I was going to ask. Like, I don't think there's anyone out there saying that, oh, Danielle did nothing wrong. Why are y'all mad at Danielle? I think everyone's like, oh, Danielle fucked up and she had some bad moments, but Lindsay did nothing wrong. Like, I don't get it. So I feel like we're coming from a place that we know that Danielle had some moments where she messed up and she overreacted and
Yeah, it was awful to
I think
watch.
she embarrassed herself.
Yes, absolutely.
But can I sit here and say, wow, Danielle was horrible this season and Lindsay's a victim and Lindsay didn't deserve any of that? No, because what I think Danielle did wasn't all that big of a deal.
Well, there is also rhetoric out there that they're tying everything that Danielle's kind of said categorically to give credence to Lindsay being just a complete asshole.
Well, have those people watched since season 1? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they've watched since season 1.
I mean, I have. And honestly, like, I feel like JJ and I might differ on this a little bit.
Oh.
I don't hate Lindsay. Like,
No, neither do I.
I always kind of found her comical. I mean, you know, the sandwich gate, I thought that was great for TV. Like, I can find enjoyment in Lindsay, but this season I felt like she didn't care. She didn't care about the friendship.
No, and I think
she
that
was
she
looking for
ousted herself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's just how I feel. I mean, I like Lindsay. I've never not liked Lindsay, but me liking her is also with the understanding that I've always known who she is since season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And my feelings about who she is and me liking her have never wavered, but I'm also just not blind to the fact that like she's a dick. I mean, she has kind of always consistently been a dick. I don't know. I just that has never changed. I've always felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
And this season, it's really showing, in my personal opinion, but yet it just feels as though like everyone's just kind of, they just collectively, they don't see it. They do not see it. I don't know what it is about her. Maybe she just has this, I don't know, she just has this energy. No one, I mean, there's just a lot of people who do not see it. They think that she's acting completely appropriately. And I disagree firmly.
Well, we start off with them coming back to the house. Hey, it was kind of like flashbacks of Scary Island when Jill, oh, surprise, hey. But instead, they walk in like, hey, as if they knew they were coming back.
They walk in as if nothing has happened. And I think that that's part of my problem
odd.
with the two of them.
Yeah.
They walk in as though nothing has happened at all. As if leaving wasn't some big moment. Like they created a moment by leaving. There's nothing wrong with having left, right? I don't judge them for that, but I mean, it was an entire.
Yeah, but they wanted you to. They wanted you to take something away from that and what Kyle said, because you left, it kind of snowballed into other things.
Correct.
So was it really about leaving for Carl's mental health? Because if it is, why is one day going to change that? Y'all need to go home if that's the case, since the house is toxic. So was it really about Carl's mental health and him not being able to stay in the house comfortably? Or was it about y'all leaving, kind of having a moment and wanting people to have pity and feel sorry for you, which is what I think it was. And that's why they ended up coming back.
Well,
because
yeah.
Of course they don't want to leave the summer house that way.
I mean, as she says, his mental health is the most important, so we got away. Okay.
Yeah, nobody's going to argue with that.
Yeah, but we only hear that from her.
But why is she saying that?
Exactly. Why aren't we hearing that from Carl? Also, if his mental health is so important, then why did you come back?
Right.
Why didn't Lindsay just come back and Carl
Yeah, right.
disappear?
Yeah.
Why? You know that she
Because it's
nudged
not
him to
about
come
his-
back.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, because then we get that
But
moment
that's-
later.
Exactly.
You got to bit. Well, I don't know what she said. She's like, you got to face your problems head on.
Yes.
Why? Well, if
They
he's
don't.
struggling with his mental health, why do you need to force him to come back to the house to face his problems head on?
Exactly. And I feel like Lindsay is not a person who faces her problems head on.
Oh,
and I think that what gets lost and why we think that she's a person who faces her problems is because she has, like, she sits down for the conversation, but she's not facing anything because what she does is she stonewalls people in conversation. She stonewalls them completely. We saw it in the beginning with Maya. And again, that was a conversation at the beach that I wish that Maya had handled it a little differently. But the fact of the matter is that she stonewalled her. So then Maya feels uncomfortable and really awkward having a conversation with her because Lindsay gives nothing.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be Lindsay facing her problems head on. And I think that that's why there's such a disconnect with people thinking that, well, no, Lindsay does participate. Lindsay does get to the bottom of things, but does she?
No. Well, she certainly didn't in that conversation with Danielle.
Well, no. And after we see her talk to Kyle, and Kyle looks visibly irritated, but he's not giving into that. He's not allowing his feeling about them leaving really kind of overtake the entire conversation.
He doesn't want to
just-
deal with that.
Of course not. Of course not.
I don't blame him.
No. And then we see Lindsay just like searching for Gabby and Sam. And that to me right there says Lindsay's not hitting her problems head on because she can't. I mean, she's not open to anybody else but Sam and Gabby, the two people who are new and do not have as lengthy of a relationship with Lindsay as everybody else.
Yeah.
And again, they can make their own judgments. That's fine. But it's less about them than it is about Lindsay.
Well, and in that moment, Kyle's like, are you going to talk to Danielle? And Lindsay's like, I think I will. I don't think Carl wants to talk to her, which, okay. But she's like, I will. And Kyle's like, I think sooner is better than later. And Lindsay's like, yeah, for sure. And then it doesn't happen till way later. And it really has to be kind of Danielle awkwardly bringing up the moment to do so.
Because, oh, look, I found it in my notes. Lindsay says, Carl can't run away when the going gets tough. That's what she says in her confessional. And I just think that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. And
Well, why did they, quote unquote, run away the evening of the engagement party? It seemed like it got tough there. Like, no one's going to blame Carl or anyone for being like, I have to step out of a situation that I don't feel comfortable in. And I feel like mentally this is draining me. No one's going to blame you for that.
No,
You have to
absolutely
create
not.
boundaries. You have to do
Correct.
what is right for you.
yes.
But I don't think that that's what happened. I think that he got frustrated. He didn't want to deal with it. And then they just left. They stormed off and they left.
It's because Carl doesn't want to be on the show anymore. And Lindsay still
Yeah,
does.
I can see
that
that.
to me is more of what it is.
Yeah.
And Lindsay's really trying to coach Carl by saying, like, look, you can't just leave in the middle of us filming a show. You can't just leave without giving any explanation. But my thing is that then don't guise it as mental health because it's either mental health or it's not.
Yeah.
If it's mental health, that's fine. But then why are we goading Carl to come back then?
Yeah.
Because it to me, it's contradictory.
It is. If it's mental health, why are you forcing him to come back to face it?
And why aren't we hearing Carl say that?
Exactly.
It just feels like Carl doesn't want to be a part of the show, and the things that he gets frustrated that have to do with the show, he doesn't explicitly say it's the show, but right, he says he's frustrated or he can't handle this and the other. And instead of Carl saying like, look, this has become a lot, my mental health, et cetera, it's always Lindsay kind of giving reason every time. It's
Yeah,
never Carl.
She's the
It's-
mouthpiece.
Exactly. It's always Lindsay saying what it is. It's the Maya conversation. It's, well, he is sober. So how dare you ask him to do something that involves marijuana? Well, we never hear Carl actually say that. We only hear Lindsay say that.
Yeah.
And that's what's so frustrating. So then Maya takes that as, well, you're saying this, but that's not the tone. That was not the implication when we initially discussed this. Why isn't anybody telling me this? Like, why is it Lindsay? It's always Lindsay being the mouthpiece.
Yep.
Yeah. This was one of your favorite parts.
What?
Lindsay goes to hug Maya.
Oh my God.
I mean, can we talk about
Maya wanted nothing
like the most
less than that.
like corner, like kind of corner side hug?
She's like, do you like that? Lindsay said something like, do you love me? Did you miss me? Something. And Maya was like, mm-hmm. She didn't want to be hugged.
No, and Lindsay's just
And not-
really trying
Not that long.
hard.
She is. She's trying to find anyone in the house that's excited to see them back.
Well, why does she care?
Because here's the deal. We didn't get anybody. I think Sam told Carl that she was happy that he was back. She gave him like a big hug, but like
And
really,
Gabby.
yes. So those two, but really everyone else did not care that they were back. And
No, not in a
I think
big
they
way.
could feel it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why she cares. She just feels like she's just above it all. So I just don't understand why she cares so much.
Yeah,
It just feels disingenuous, but
it does. And she needs a friend. She needs a friend to stick up for her, to have her back.
then Danielle walks in, extra awkward.
Oh yeah,
It's just awkward.
it is really awkward.
It's just really, the tension is very palpable. And it's just awkward for everyone, including the viewers. Because it's like you're watching all of these people who, by the way, last episode, they were having so much fun. And Paige does point out, like, okay, great. Now that they're gone, like, can everybody just tell that we're
yeah.
having a great time?
She's like, we like to be idiots, and they just don't like to be idiots with us.
No, but Paige can't say that, because when Paige says that, what that says to everybody else who thinks this is that, oh, well, Paige is excited. She's celebratory. She finally got what she wanted. Lindsay
I
out.
just don't-
Like,
I just don't
agree
see
with
it that way at
no,
all.
not at all. Not at all. It just feels kind of absurd to me. Like, I just,
Well, and JJ and I have talked about this off the mic. Like, if you really watch all the seasons with Lindsay has severe abandonment issues, and she
Yes.
always self-isolates. And
Yes.
out of every single female cast member that's ever been on that show, she's always been a little bit to herself, with the exception of Danielle. Like, she's always had friends here and there, but she to me is not a girl's girl.
no, she's not.
And I think that's why she feels like, and maybe that could be to the viewers why they feel like she's getting ganged up on, but she can hold her own.
She's never been a
Lindsay-
girl's girl.
Lindsay can hold her own. I don't think so either.
Look how she treated Christina Gibson in the first fucking season.
I don't know which one that was. Is that one of the twins?
It's no. It's the one where she's roommates with Lindsay. They just moved in together or something like that, like right before the season starts. And Christina feels like maybe Lindsay hasn't been there a whole lot because she's just started dating Everett, her current boyfriend,
yeah,
and they've only been
Everett,
dating for a
yeah.
couple of months, right? And Christina just feels like she hasn't been around. I mean, it's echoing similarly to what we're feeling this season. And the way that Lindsay treats her throughout the season, initially when I watched it, I kind of felt like Lindsay was in the right because Christina was so obnoxious. But looking back, I don't
Kind of a
necessarily,
pattern.
yeah, it's a pattern. Because there's at one point, Lindsay leaves her PR job to create her own firm and she sets up shop in the apartment. And Christina is mad because she didn't tell her about it. Instead, Christina's at home. She's like, okay, was anybody going to tell me that you were going to bring your entire team over and like y'all were going to be essentially working out of the apartment? Well, then that turns into a whole thing. And she becomes vindictive and she starts doing things that kind of poke the bear. So Christina feels like an outlier and she ultimately leaves the house because she just feels as though
She's uncomfortable.
correct. And she also, I forgot about this. And then Lindsay at a party that they're at, and she mentions or she says something that Christina didn't leave her job. Christina was fired. And she's like, what the fuck? Why are you telling people that? Because she's there trying to network and get some freelance work because she's a journalist. She covers pop culture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is just something, all this to say, this is just something that I feel like is kind of patterned. And we also see it a little bit with her boyfriends throughout the course of the show. And again, no one's saying that she should stay in a relationship that she doesn't want to be in. But when you really dissect it and you look back, there are patterns, in my personal opinion, where I'm seeing her almost not create moments, but almost create contention within the relationship that may exist, but at a more hyperbolic level to give reason to her leaving the relationship before they leave her.
Yeah, because the abandonment issues.
Correct. And this is similar. This is how this feels to me.
She gets to leave Danielle crying on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Yeah, and like I said, I've never hated Lindsay by any like stretch of the imagination, but to me, it just doesn't seem that surprising because she doesn't seem to have a lot of girlfriends, at least on the show. So I'm baffled when JJ tells me stuff that like Amanda, Sierra, Paige are like the mean girls, but I'm like, but these seem like
And they
girls that like love each other and like would love Lindsay if Lindsay maybe wasn't such a bitch to them.
correct.
I just don't, I don't
And
know.
that they've like puppeteered Danielle. Like they finally got Danielle. Danielle's vulnerable and they finally got her where they want her, where they can convince her that Lindsay's the worst. I just don't think that that's what's happening.
Because I have
here.
a higher opinion of Danielle. So I don't think that she would be that easily manipulated. And I also, guys, I don't think that they care that much. I don't think that they care that much about Lindsay. And
No, it's not lost on anybody. They don't they don't
They don't
care
love
about
her, but like I don't
not
think
eno-
they care enough to work this master plan
No.
to get her out of the house. Carl's doing that on his own. So I just
Well, Danielle, we see that Danielle's gotten wind of what Carl has said about leaving the house, and she doesn't know how to go into the day because Carl says he doesn't want to be around toxic negativity. And he's essentially talking about Danielle, then like, you don't know me as a person. And she's like, how do you handle being around them if they're saying these things?
yeah. And how do you come back? That's why I thought it was performative. That's why
that's what
I
I
didn't
mean,
think
like-
it had anything to do with
The toxic negativity in the house, then stay away.
yeah, get out of here.
So now you're going to come back, and now it's going to be awkward. And now it's still going to be Danielle's fault. But you chose to come back.
Yeah.
Even though you have now prefaced this by saying you left because of your mental health and it's toxic negativity and all these things. But you're going to come back anyway. And then when ultimately it doesn't go the way that anybody wants it to go, oh, well, it's Danielle's fault. Why did you come back in the first place?
Correct.
All right, we're done with Summer House recap.
I mean, basically. But we have Craig somewhere in there.
We do. I was just about to say.
Oh.
So the party's going strong. It's an animal theme. Welcome to the
Yes,
jungle.
guys.
Oh,
I don't know
love the
what
theme.
I don't know what was going on with the theme. I was very confused, and I was also very confused that every guest that came to this didn't get the memo that it was themed. I felt like everyone was wearing like Hawaiian shirts, and no one was really dressed up other than the cast. I also love the effort for Sierra doing the avatar, but it was freaking me out. I was like, I can't take her seriously right now.
I kind of loved it. Did she do the makeup herself? I was impressed.
think so. Well, that's what I'm saying. Very impressive.
Yeah, I was really impressed.
The effort was an A+, but after a while, I was like, I'm getting a little spooked. I'm not a big Avatar fan, but
liked it.
regardless.
I mean, it didn't really fit the theme for me because it's an AI environment. And not only is it AI, but it's also underwater. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I thought that was...
But it was kitschy and it was fun.
Yeah.
We see Amanda and Craig talking at the party. And
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Craig asks Amanda her advice. When did her and Kyle decide to move in together, and how far away did they live when they were living apart? And guys, it's 15 minutes, not a flight, but 15 minutes.
In New York.
And I don't know why. I just think it's cute because he's trying to seek advice from Amanda using her as a reference of, Kyle and when they were together and they didn't live together. It's a little different, Craig. But Amanda's like, yeah, we eventually just moved in together. It was just kind of that. Craig doesn't know what to do. Now, I don't know why Craig is still worked up. I mean, we've already heard Paige say that she just isn't ready for marriage. Not ever, just not now.
Right.
And for the viewers out there, or our listeners rather, who may be a little confused or conflicted on the timeline, just as a refresher, it hasn't even quite been a year yet that they've been dating. We're at the end of summer. It is, I want to say, like right before Labor Day, and Craig and Paige didn't start dating. Well, they were
Exclusively,
kind of
maybe.
exclusively. They
Yeah.
were not committed in a exclusive, monogamous relationship until after Kyle and Amanda's wedding, which is the end of September.
Okay.
So we've been together for about 11 months.
Yeah.
I need Craig to just pump the brakes. I get it, but pump the brakes.
He's got a 5-year plan.
Well, it feels like he wants to take the next step without really moving in together. And Amanda's like, absolutely fucking not. You guys need to spend
More
more
time.
time together. And they do. So they go back and forth quite frequently, but they never actually spend months on end. I'd like to say that by now they probably have, but it's time to spend more than a week or two at a time. Spend months together. Really understand what it's like to live with one another.
What does Paige do? I know she does something in fashion, doesn't she?
Yes, but Paige, her
Like, does she can she be remote? And
Yes.
Like, okay.
But a lot of what she does do is in New York. I want to say Craig can probably be maybe a little bit
Travel
more
more than-
remote
okay.
than she can.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
neither one of them. They're both very busy people as individuals. But if I had to choose,
Yeah. And I feel like they both have like some stubbornness to them because they
Mm-hmm.
not only is change hard, but they both individually love their city
Mm-hmm.
for different reasons. So it's kind of hard to make that adjustment. But it sounds like what they came to is that let's just spend longer periods of time together. I'll live with you in New York for a couple months, and then Paige can go live in Charleston for a couple of months. Because I think they do need to spend, more time together.
they do. And I will say this:
A good medium.
I think that once Southern Charm is actually over and Craig's no longer a part of that show, I think that he will be a little bit more inclined to stay in New York longer. I think he really likes New York. I think it's Southern Charm that's kind of holding him back a little bit because that is his flagship. He's involved in that.
Yeah.
But I think that once that goes away, I can predict that he would be in New York maybe 2/3 of the year and Charleston more as like a vacation summer house type place.
Yeah.
Oh, well, summer home, if you will.
Summer home house. Yeah. I love hearing Paige talk about how she only likes to wear black. And she just doesn't know how to dress. And she's like, and their Uber Eats stops at 10. I just
It does.
from experience.
I've spent a lot of time in Charleston, and that was one thing that actually irritated me
I bet.
because there's no delivery like past 10:30. Anything good.
Well, and I bet Los Angeles is similar to New York, where it's like they
Oh my
deliver
God,
very
round
late.
the clock. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's probably a hard adjustment.
It was very, very. It's a hard. Yeah, that was a hard adjustment.
Yeah, I just love thinking because I know that I haven't done the summer house in a while, and I just the most endearing thing that I love about their relationship is the TV shows and how they always. Craig's always like, well, you want someone to have to watch your shows with. And I just love because, people always call out Paige for just always like lounging in the bedroom and stuff. She's always on her computer. And I just love, that's so fucked up. I just love imagining that she's just there watching her shows. It's the most relatable part, I think. And I just love that part about their relationship. We got to watch our shows.
I think there are also a lot of people out there who are speculative at the validity of their relationship, which I also think is kind of funny.
That's stupid to me.
Here's what I'll say. I can understand why people question that, right?
Why?
Because, well, I think that they see Paige kind of saying like she doesn't want to do this yet and she's not ready for this. I think that they wonder if she just has cold feet and she just doesn't really want to commit to Craig in the way that Craig is looking for, right? Because maybe she's just not in it as much as he is. But for me, I think it has nothing to do with that. I think that because she stands by her convictions and she doesn't allow herself to get lost, her identity doesn't get lost in the relationship, and because she says that, that's why I think that it can be easily misconstrued as she doesn't want to commit in the same way that Craig does.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean? Because she doesn't waver. She just says what she's looking for. But so do I. I think that there's nothing wrong with that. She's 30 years old. There's nothing wrong with that.
And also just how we shouldn't judge the timeline of Lindsay and Carl moving too fast, because I don't give a fuck about that either.
Neither do I. I don't
They've known
care.
each other for a long time.
Yeah, that was never a bother.
If they wanted to get married within 3 months, go do it.
They want to elope?
Do it. I don't think that has any substance on like, are they going to make it or not?
No.
Same way as if like Craig and Paige date for 3 years and then they get engaged.
It doesn't matter.
Whatever the fuck works for you. And they've got to figure out the living situation before they really can deep dive into anything else. And we saw it in this episode where Paige is like, I would know by this time if I didn't really want to be with you. And I want to be with you. We just have to figure out our timeline and they both seem to be on the same page with kids. He's like, I just want to have kids within 5 years. And she goes, so do I. So I think that if they can figure out the living situation and if they like living with each other for more than a handful of weeks, months, if they can still really appreciate and enjoy each other, I think they'll be okay.
Absolutely. Craig is just a mush. He is a romantic. He is. Do you not remember the finale episode in season 7 where he takes his then girlfriend Ladley on the Notebook date?
Oh, I do remember that. I love that he loves the Notebook.
But yeah, I just think that he's a romantic. He's a little bit of a mush, and Paige just isn't very emotional like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which doesn't mean she doesn't care.
No, it doesn't. I just think that she's just not romantically as a mush as Craig is. And we've seen that in past seasons. She's had boyfriends before, guys. Like, Craig's not the first guy she's dated.
Right.
So, she's just particular and she stands by her ground.
I love it.
And they ultimately decide, well, she goes, okay, so what you're saying is we need to figure out like what the next step is. And you move in suitcases? And he's like, yeah. Which I love, which, for some people, that's a big step.
Yeah.
I think that's a big step for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want your shit near me. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, it's a big step. And she's very particular. She said, how many episodes ago was it that she was like, I am very particular. I am minimalist. I like nothing. I throw out my birth certificate if I have
he's
to.
He's a mess.
He's a fucking mess.
God. Well,
fuck.
That might do it. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So we wrap up that story.
Yeah.
And then we go to Maya, who,
oh my God.
I mean,
well, we knew this was happening because the story broke.
It did.
a while ago, but I didn't know it was going to come. I didn't know it was going to live on the show.
I didn't know. I didn't think so either.
but
But
you
I was
could just
surprised to
tell
see.
this whole party, she had some pent up feelings.
She does say in her confessional, so she gives us a little context in her confessional prior to really getting into anything that happens at the party, because let's be truthful here, she doesn't allow anybody to broach this, and she's hiding from the cameras, which is very frustrating and annoying, and I did very disappointed. She does say in her confessional that she received a DM of another woman asking her if her and Oliver are exclusive. From what we know and what she says, there doesn't really seem to be much more after that. But that, in and of itself, she's like, why is somebody asking that?
Enough
No
to
one should
raise
be.
a red flag.
Exactly. But we see her dodging the cameras the entire time. Oliver shows up. It's really weird. He's like, hey, how are you doing?
Oh my
I'm
god.
like, I'm sorry. Aren't y'all in a relationship
yeah,
yet?
that was
like,
so fucking awkward.
because he knows he's in trouble.
Yeah.
He knows he's in trouble.
Hey, how's it going?
And I guarantee you, Maya thought, okay, let's just get through this finale event. Let's just get through it as a couple, and then we'll deal with it after the fact, because there really isn't any connective tissue. We don't really know anything. That backfires in her face because she can't handle it.
Yeah,
She can't handle it at all.
He was randomly talking to one of the strangers, and she's like, Oliver, get over here. Like yelled at him, and then he like came over, and she's like, mind your manners, or like, get it together. I mean, there was a lot happening, and obviously she was very upset, and rightly so.
What are you doing over there? Yeah.
But then, yeah, that was a
Behave.
moment. Behave, that's what she said.
She
That was a
says to
moment. And then when she was like chasing Corey around with like,
Yeah, at the end.
like that was a weird, like, haha, funny moment. But then it kind of turned into like not so funny. It bounced back to
it kind
funny.
of feels
Like
a little manic. Like,
yeah, it was
she's
manic.
mad,
Like, and even Corey was like, yeah, she seems like
aggressive.
yeah. Well, she's like, something's going on because like she seemed a little angry earlier, like with like the drink stuff. Which then Gabby fell in, which I was like, oh my God, this fucking party is a disaster.
God.
There was a lot happening. But yeah, she had some different outlets of emotion. And even when she was talking to Sierra and Paige, I think it was Paige, they were trying to talk about Danielle and Lindsay. And then she was like, I need to get water.
Now.
And it was so awkward to them that they were like, something's going on. So much to the point that Paige was like, has she ever mentioned that she and Oliver are going to break up? Yeah. I was like, whoa.
By the way, I love how at first they're trying to speculate and figure out why Maya's behaving the way that she is. And all it takes is Paige asking if Ciara's heard her talk about wanting to leave Oliver. Yes. I'm like, okay, Ciara, we could have used that information maybe prior to us trying to figure out like what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
But she doesn't. She kind of just doesn't say anything.
What is your theory on why she didn't want to say anything on camera? Was it that like she felt like it would be embarrassing for her?
Yeah.
Because I feel like she probably wouldn't at that point. She didn't seem to care much about how he was going to be perceived. But like, do you think that that's where it was coming from?
Yes, because it's the end. So I feel like she's like, how, like, I haven't even had a chance to process what the fuck is really going on.
Yeah.
And yes, maybe Oliver and I have talked about it, but like, I don't know what's going on. I'm kind of a mess. And to figure that out at the finale party when there's all this other stuff going on, which I can understand on a personal level, but it's a big no-no. She should have said something and we should have had some type of conversation.
Big part of her story.
Yeah, because she hides literally the entire time from the cameras. We only know emphatically that he cheated when she asks him, again, hiding like in a bathroom or a closet, and we
Covering
get
the mics.
Yes, and we get it picked up on mics that she's pissed off and she's fucking mad, and he's all fucking weird, and he's like, I want you to know I cheated, but I also want you to know I'm here for you.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Gross.
Gross.
But I'm so proud of those mics. Those mics were really picked it up. And JJ said
really
they have mics
did.
in the walls, so
They do. They have mics in the walls.
but not in the bathroom.
Not in the bathroom. Not in any place that's private like that.
Yeah. So we still gotcha, Lisa Barlow.
Gotcha. I mean, she was probably drunk and at that point just had no regard
Yeah.
for Karen.
Yeah, that was gross. And then we find out from the trailer
my
that
God.
there was at least 11 women.
Y'all.
Y'all, they only dated for a year.
I literally,
I don't even know if Tom Sandoval did that.
same. I'm like 11?
That's so gross.
What?
God,
Nasty.
that's so gross.
Nasty.
Guys, I don't understand. People don't need to be monogamous. You don't need to be in a monogamous relationship. If that's not for you, then don't
but
do it.
That's easier said than done. Look at the fucking look at the world we live in. Look at the societal constructs.
No.
I'm all for it.
Be
I've told my
non-monogamous
friends
and just have as much sex as you want. Don't fucking be in a relationship and fuck around.
I know, and
Fuck around and find out.
But I've had friends who want to be non-monogamous and date many people, and they themselves even have trepidation talking about that aloud because it is just a taboo. It's just not something that is socially accepted.
I understand,
I have known
but-
celebrities, couples in Hollywood who are open and they have open relationships, and I've known that. And I know that it is a real thing and it is a choice that they've made. And yet I've heard and seen those same couples get knocked for cheating or X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, they just don't want to come out and say that they have an open relationship because of the climate that we live in. I think that it is easier to say that they've cheated and address that and discuss that than it would be for them to say, I just don't want to be in a monogamous relationship. It's weird. Trust me.
Well, that's backwards.
Of course it's backwards.
And why would you want your character to come off in that way? I would rather be like, no, we have an
know.
agreement and we're just in an open relationship. I would have way more respect for you as a person.
Okay, but that is the $60,000 question. We're seeing it on Vanderpump right now. Why not just break up? Why not just say these things?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Anyway, that was horrifying.
It's weird.
And yeah.
We kind of wrap out everybody's story, and I think we'll do that. Let's wrap them out first before we get into Lindsay and Danielle. And it'll be quick because we see Gabby in her confessional kind of talking about how basically it feels like she's
I love Gabby.
same. And I feel like she's basically implying in her confessional that she's more open now. She's allowing herself to release the guard, just peel back the layers and not maybe go so hard in the paint by saying no and writing off guys.
Yeah.
We see her kind of flirting with somebody at the party. I think it was somebody.
I think it was the blind date
Yes,
guy.
the blind date.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. We see her just basically say,
I think he like spits a shot into her mouth or something. I don't know.
Oh.
No.
That was Corey and Sam.
I'm mixing them up.
Yeah,
that's Corey and
I
Sam.
was like, that's
no,
a Corey
but
and
he
Sam
pours.
thing.
He pours a
He
shot
does.
into her mouth, and she's like, "That was disgusting." He's like, "It's really good stuff," and she's like, "It was gross."
guys, she's grown. She's no longer writing people off because of their
sign.
Their sign. She has much more awareness and is really giving people a chance.
Yeah.
More than she did before.
Yeah.
So it's kind of her little button, right? She wraps.
I hope she
her
comes
story.
back next season.
Me
I think
too.
She's
I really
so fun
I really
and very
I really enjoyed her.
authentic.
Yes, I really enjoyed her this
Yeah,
season.
I liked her a lot.
And then we see Sam and Corey.
Yes, the spit in the mouth, spitting in the mouth, and pulling of the hair.
They have great chemistry, and I think that's why we enjoy them so much. It's not so much
Yeah.
what they're doing; it's the energy, the effervescence.
Yes, they have
that they're
they have
permeating.
chemistry. And I was telling JJ that because of Sam, who also I think is a superstar, I love
she
her.
is.
It's made me like Corey because when Corey was on Winter House, I found him really gross and insufferable.
Yeah. I think we
But-
said that he is a person who needs to be on MTV. We were like, he's more of a character on MTV and not Bravo.
Maybe so.
But we're accepting him now. We're allowing him in.
Yeah, and I think because they match each other very well and like they're both kind of goofy and they like to give each other a hard time, like they like to bust each other's balls for lack of a better term. And they can both handle it.
She literally,
They're very playful.
She literally says, with me and Corey, we're really just on the same page. We're connecting on real levels. This is more than just pulling my hair and spitting in my mouth. And that to me just says everything I need to know about Sam and why I like her so much.
Yeah.
Because it comes off kind of like serious, but she's just fucking around, right?
Yeah.
And obviously we know that it's more than just spitting in her mouth, but good chemistry, great chemistry.
Yeah.
And they're still dating.
And they're still dating, which is kind of fun. And
I
yeah,
love that.
I think they're a good pair. Who knows what will happen in the future, but like honestly did not mind Corey being in the later half of the season.
No, neither did I.
Because of her.
We also
I'm
got
giving
a
her all
guy into the
credit.
house. We needed that.
I honestly think we
mean,
did.
It was
No offense to what's the guy's name?
Chris.
Chris. I was like Luke. Chris, like he's a question mark for me. And Carl, sorry, but sorry, not sorry. Demi Lovato, but
Corey added what we
Corey added some of the energy.
Yeah, we
and
needed
Craig,
that.
honestly, too, because they're good friends. That's why I think I really enjoyed these last like 3-ish episodes because there were more people involved and it was
were.
more dynamic and a little bit more fun.
Yeah, because we saw Carl and Lindsay leave the house for an entire episode.
Well, yes, exactly.
we needed a reprieve.
Yeah.
We needed a reprieve.
I agree.
But as I say that,
What?
I'm like, we needed a reprieve from Lindsay and Carl, but we're about to get into.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Oh, before we get there, though, Amanda and Kyle. I think that Amanda and Kyle, this has been their best season
Yeah,
yet.
I think this is
and
one of
when
their best
Kyle was
seasons.
so drunk and he's like, look at that ass. Look at that ass. And they were just like kind of going back and forth. It was one of my favorite scenes.
What does he say? Do you give me permission to muff dive.
She goes, no.
Kyle is such a joke. And when I say that, I mean in the best way possible. I love Kyle Cook so much for these reasons.
Yeah.
Like, can I? Do you give me permission? She's like, no.
I loved that scene. They're like, do you want to have babies together? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, I love that ass. She's like, all right. I think this was their best season, hands down. And I think
so
the
do I.
wedding, it's been, now that that's off the table.
What season of a show that covers a wedding has not been an absolute disaster for that cast member? Guys, it really shows your true colors. And not saying that people are inauthentic prior, but planning a wedding really just,
I imagine.
You are raw. You are raw.
But that's probably the only other thing other than like the Lindsay and the Danielle stuff that I was like, oh, I really liked that moment.
Yeah, it was really cute. It was endearing.
Hidden gems within the episode before the disaster dump fire.
Dump fire?
Dumpster fire.
This is like, you sound like you're saying like the prank where you poop in a bag and you leave it on the doorstep. Dump fire out. Peace.
Yeah, Billy Madison, big time.
Mm-hmm.
My God.
All right. Well, we first get the split screen. There's two conversations happening at once.
Oh, that was really confusing.
Danielle's talking to the girls about how she feels about Lindsay and Carl. And then we see Lindsay talking to her friend, quote, friend. We have no idea what friend it is. But we see it in the surveillance cameras. They're picking it up and they've split screened it. And Lindsay tells her friend that Carl was a disaster on the way back to the house. And Lindsay's friend then asks her, like, have you talked to her yet? Meaning Danielle. Then Lindsay says, maybe if she realized, and her friend goes, what? That she's going to get her ass handed to her? Come on.
Yeah, I don't even think that's what happened during that conversation.
That's not what happened. And it's like, okay.
This is a good example, though, without knowing who this friend is at all. This is a good example of the people that Lindsay surrounds herself with. It seems like very like yes and, which is kind of what people might have thought about Danielle. Like Danielle's a ride or die. All she does is like say yes to Lindsay. She agrees with whatever Lindsay does. Mm-hmm. This is really their first time in 5+ years that they've had like
that we've ever seen them have a riff. I mean,
yeah. And look, and now it's over.
I always call back to it. The moment. Well, I call back to it, but actually it comes up and we see it in the next on, right? We see it as a preview in the reunion. A few years back, when Lindsay had heard that Kyle had made out with somebody at a bar, she tells Kyle about it. I think it's it might be season 5. And she approaches Kyle with this information. Kyle, who pulls a Tom Schwartz, doesn't remember. He's not saying it didn't happen, but he also just doesn't remember it happening at all. Now, Danielle knows that information. And Danielle, I think, drunkenly just has diarrhea of the mouth and tells Paige. Okay. Danielle cops up to it very quickly. She tells Lindsay, like, I fucked up. I may have really fucked up because I told Paige about Kyle maybe kissing somebody. And she says, fuck you. She literally is like, fuck you, Danielle. Like, what the fuck? And completely dismisses. Danielle, I think, tries to grab her, like, Lindsay, hold on. And she flings her off of her, runs out to go and find Paige so that Paige doesn't tell Amanda before Kyle's ready. And when she ends up coming to Paige and telling her about it, Paige, and I've told this story before, but Paige is like, it's okay. Like, I'm not involved in that. Like, Kyle needs to tell Amanda on his own. But that right then, like, that in and of itself, that's just an example, again, where she was so nasty to Danielle. And I get that Danielle fucked up and she shouldn't have said anything, but it ultimately ends up being okay. And I think Lindsay later on does say, like, yeah, it's fine, whatever, but really never
apologizes
in a real way. No, like, she shouldn't have behaved that way and she shouldn't have reacted that way. And she does.
Yeah.
Just kind of going back to, like, everybody's a yes man in Lindsay's life.
Right. Which it seems like this kind of friend was doing, but I mean, it's hard for me to say because I don't know the friend, but.
Of course not. But I mean, there is something to be said with, you
can't disagree with her.
You can. And they're all, there are 3 sides to every story,
Yeah.
I don't judge her friend for siding with her because that's just, I mean, what do you expect? But it just does. It lends to this idea that Lindsay has never done anything wrong, which is a complete fallacy. And we see the two of them end up alone in the kitchen together, which is like out of a horror film.
So awkward.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing the cheersing, remember? And there's 2
That's
random
right.
people
That's
there.
right. They're
And then
toasting.
eventually the random people kind of leave. And then, because remember, Danielle says something like, I wanted to cheers you.
That's what it
all
is.
along. Or like, I wanted to be a part of your moment.
I wanted
or
to celebrate the way that we are now. And I wanted to toast to you the way that we are now, but at your engagement party.
So she opens the conversation.
I did too.
Yeah. So one thing I picked up very early on to the argument is that all Lindsay did was repeat what Danielle was saying. I thought we were best friends. I thought we were best friends. And then she said something else like, you just really hurt me. You hurt me. I'm like, okay, where are we going here? And of course, like kind of dead in the face and no emotion. But
this conversation does not reflect what Lindsay says earlier on in the episode, which is, I need to talk to Danielle. Like, yeah, I know. I need to talk to Danielle.
yeah.
She does no talking. She's a parrot.
Remember, she's cool, calm, and collected.
She's cool.
That's what she tells
calm,
Carl.
And collected.
And that really pissed Danielle off because I was really cool and calm.
No, that's
No, you just
not.
didn't have any emotion.
That's what pissed her off. Not that you were cool and calm, that you didn't say anything. You ignored her. Danielle goes on to tell Lindsay that she found out 30 minutes before, and that's really what upset her. And Lindsay says, Carl didn't want to ruin the surprise. And Danielle says, I thought we were friends. That's when Lindsay
I
says,
thought we were friends.
I did too.
Oh, yeah.
Why is a moment between us about you?
Fair.
You don't think all the things you said didn't hurt me? Danielle, so me saying I thought you were moving too fast? Correct.
That was it, guys.
That was it. That was it.
She... And oh, wait, go on.
No, I was going to say, we see Maya wanting to come in. They're like, no, we're going in. We're going in.
my
Band of
God.
brothers never leave a man behind. We're going in. Craig's like, no,
Yes.
no. Don't go in. Don't go in.
Craig waving them off and Amanda was perfect.
Yeah.
I really
Also,
enjoyed that moment.
A lot of people feel like this was nasty and dirty, that they shouldn't have done this, that they were...
What?
They liked being spectators of this, and they were listening in like maniacally, like.
I think they knew it was going to go a certain way, and wouldn't you be curious? I
Also-
mean, I can understand that point of view, but
I'm glad that they were there to listen to it. So then it's not a he said, she said.
correct.
We have somebody else who was there to cooperate, that Danielle wasn't yelling,
Yeah.
because that's what Lindsay goes on to say later, that she was yelling. I mean, she says it in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, you're
I mean, she's
shouting at
emotional,
me.
but she's not yelling.
No, she's not yelling at all. I mean, I think Lindsay claiming that Danielle is yelling is real rich, given how, quote, activated we have seen her throughout
that.
the last 7 fucking seasons of the show.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah. I just wish we could live in like a fair community with the two of these women, because I just
Yeah.
wish Lindsay, because I understand Lindsay's point of view. Well,
Same.
sort of. Well, I understand Lindsay had no control that Carl didn't tell Danielle about the engagement. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
We have to live in a world where we believe that Lindsay didn't know she was going to get proposed to.
Correct.
Whether we do or don't, like that's the world we
Yes,
need to
I'll live
to
in that.
right?
I'll live in that space. Yeah.
So we can't really put the blame on Lindsay that Danielle wasn't involved, because why would Lindsay know? That needs to come from Carl. So with her being like, I thought I was your best friend, why wasn't I involved? That's a conversation with Carl that she needed to have had.
But I don't think that Danielle is saying that's Lindsay's fault. She's just trying to explain
Yeah.
why she's upset in the first place.
But I wish instead of that moment, because I agree with Lindsay being like, well, you made a moment that was about us, about you. I can, that's fair. I think that absolutely I can agree with Lindsay on that
I agree.
point. But what I wish Lindsay would have said is, Danielle, I'm sorry that he didn't include you. I didn't know. If we could go back into time, I would have liked for him to have included you in that. But you know what? The way things have been, you telling me we're moving too fast, I think we were just in a weird space. But she doesn't say anything like that.
Yeah, or just even say like, look, I see where you're coming from, and although I don't agree with you making this about you, which you did, which hurt me, Carl is only going off of what he knows. And if he knows that you and I are in a funky place, that's the reason why he didn't include you. But she doesn't do any of that. She doesn't
No,
say
all she said
anything.
is, you never rooted for us. You never wanted us to be together. And
The second I started dating Carl,
the way you treated me was
said,
horrible.
No.
Which is not, no.
That is not fucking
She has not been
true.
saying no since day one, guys.
No.
Let's keep in mind that a lot of the beginning of the relationship was off camera. Like, that's why like the punishment doesn't seem to fit the crime. And like I said, I think nobody out there is saying that Danielle didn't do anything wrong. I think we can all agree that, she voiced her opinion about them moving too fast. That was one thing. You gotta have to let that go.
Mm-hmm.
The engagement, yes, was a bad moment for her. Made it about herself. That was not a good showing.
She's burning her at the stake for a couple of incidences
Yeah.
that happened in a very short amount of time.
And so it's kind of like, are you really that good of friends with Danielle? Like, do you really hold her in that high of a standing if this is what it takes to break you?
But that's my point. I mean, you didn't support us. Guys, I get that her saying she thinks they're moving on too fast is something that can hurt Lindsay's feelings. I get that. But it was an offhanded comment. It wasn't something that she's been really trying to like debate the whole season. Like she's really been trying to put her foot down and say, they're moving too fast. They shouldn't be doing this. It was one time, a couple of times that she said it when somebody asked her, like, do you think that they're moving too fast? It wasn't a big fucking deal. I've been in that situation where somebody's asked me that and I've said yes. The difference is I don't have a camera on me. We've all said that. I think people watching this thinking like, I can't believe she said, guys, you've never said that? You've never thought a friend of yours was moving too fast. Whether you loved them, supported their relationship or not. You can support a relationship and just having a fucking opinion.
Yeah, and she never once, correct me if I'm wrong, she's never once on camera said, I don't want them to be together.
Correct.
She never once said that.
Nope.
But that's how it was taken.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it just bums me out that Lindsay couldn't have the wherewithal to be like, what's going on? And every time they try to have any type of conversation, like, what's going on? Something's wrong with you. Something's wrong. What's going on with you and what's the boyfriend's name?
Robert.
What's going on with you, Robert? What's going on with you in the business? Like you don't even live in the city. It always has to do something with Danielle, which I think there's some truth there because I think Danielle was having a hard time. I think that's layered.
Sure.
But why can't it just be like, I've been friends with this person for a long time. This seems out of character. Maybe I can give her some grace and a little bit of a benefit of the doubt that she doesn't want horrible things for me.
Correct. And I think from what I'm seeing, it has less to do with Danielle wanting Lindsay to agree with her than it does, or like maybe even understand than it does with her just completely stonewalling. Like, I don't think that Danielle is looking for Lindsay to go, you're right, Danielle. I should have seen the error of my ways and Carl's wrong.
No way.
Danielle getting increasingly more upset and frustrated throughout the conversation has less to do with Lindsay agreeing with her than it does with Lindsay just not even, she's ignoring what she's saying. Like she's just standing there thinking about something else and ignoring and popping in every once in a while and saying, sure, yeah, correct. I mean, she literally says, Danielle, referencing not wanting the two of them to be together. If you see it that way, you are so wrong. You don't think that I would have put everything aside and been there for you? I would have done everything for you. And I think that that can be misconstrued as, well, Danielle didn't put everything aside for Lindsay in that moment at the engagement party. So why is she saying that now? That doesn't really match what her reaction was the other night. I don't think that Danielle is saying that specifically. I think she's saying categorically in their friendship, no matter what her opinion would have been, and just saying simply that she thinks they're moving too fast doesn't mean that she would have not put that aside. There's just a lot of talk about, well, Carl did tell Danielle that he had bought a ring. And I, a few episodes back when we recapped, said, Danielle can't say she didn't know at all. I said that. Danielle cannot walk around saying she did not know at all that Carl was going to propose to her. Being told that they bought a ring or being told that Carl bought a ring does not mean that Carl said, I'm proposing to her next week.
Yeah.
I've had friends who have held onto rings for years, 6 months, 9 months.
I just don't understand how nobody, and it's not nobody because the majority of the cast sides with Danielle, but I just don't understand how people can't understand where she's coming from, specifically Lindsay.
I think that they both can have valid feelings and both be wrong and both need to see the error of their ways. It doesn't have to be one side or the other, but to make it one side purely based off of Danielle's behavior at the engagement party, to give absolute 100% credence to Lindsay and her being the way that she's been all season, that's garbage to me.
Yeah. And it was sad to me because in that part that you were just reading off, I would have done anything for you. I really felt that because she's getting emotional, and just to have Lindsay just stand there and have no feeling, I was like, oh,
with that eyebrow raised.
So cold.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I'm going to say. Watching that scene was kind of horrifying, but if I'm Lindsay, based on the way Lindsay reacted, you're not coming to the wedding, and Danielle goes, I'm gladly won't go to the wedding. But then guess what? Lindsay and Carl are the first guest on Watch What Happens Live for the very first episode. So obviously this finale had already aired. I'm not aired. It had already been filmed.
Yeah.
And it was a while ago, so I'm gonna have to paraphrase. But Andy asked a question we know, based on the trailer, you and Danielle are gonna have some ups and downs. What are you feeling for the wedding? Is she gonna be there? And she's like, honestly, we haven't talked much, but I have a lot. I have hopes. I have hopes that we'll get there.
That's performative to me.
Doesn't seem like you have hopes based on that conversation. If that was Danielle sitting there, maybe I could see where she could be like, that was a hard scene, but I still have hopes that we can get there. But Lindsay saying that based off of what I just saw in that kitchen, absolutely fucking not.
No, I would not.
And this is why I say I hope that they don't become friends anymore, because I just think Lindsay is a kind of a shitty friend.
She's a shitty friend.
If you're someone who just wants to be like have fun and ride or die and do whatever, then Lindsay's probably a lot of fun. But God forbid, something happens and you have a different opinion, or forget about it.
I just don't. What I don't understand is why Lindsay can give the space to Amanda to clear up why Amanda said that Lindsay taints Carl. They could have a whole conversation. And Lindsay gives Amanda the space, and Amanda gives Lindsay the space, and they have this moment. And whether Amanda agrees with how that turned out or not, they reconcile.
Yeah.
To me personally, and again, this is just my opinion, I think it's worse that Amanda said that Lindsay taints Carl than it is Danielle saying that she thinks they're moving too fast. Well,
and you're closer to Danielle's.
That's my point. Like,
Kyle, so maybe it was easier to forgive Amanda because now there can be couple friends.
But Kyle has said stuff. Kyle eventually just stopped talking about it, but he has said things throughout the season about Carl and Lindsay.
He gets coked up and goes to work. Isn't that kind of damaging? They just kind of rolled past that.
Yeah, and he's also said that Lindsay's in Carl's ear. Lindsay's in Carl's ear with Carl wanting all of these things at Loverboy. Why does that not hold the same water? Like, I don't understand.
I agree.
But Lindsay moves on. Lindsay gets over it. Carl gets over it. Everybody gets over it. But no, Danielle said, I think they're moving too fast. And that's the end of that.
Yeah.
She also screams in the pillow, but whatever. At this point, it's like,
I thought that was kind of comedy. But the thing is that, like, yes, we can talk about the engagement party and that she made it about her and that's a bad light. But, like, it all stemmed from her saying, I think y'all are moving too fast. It all stemmed from that when that shouldn't have had that much weight.
Well, also, just another thing. Amanda tried to apologize before the season started. She said that she texted Lindsay and said, look, I know what I said was wrong and I know how that comes off. And I know that you may not be ready right now, but I just want you to know that I am sorry. Lindsay never responded to her, never said anything, just showed up at the summer house as if nothing had happened. Amanda doesn't know where she stands. So Amanda's just kind of like, okay, we're just going through it. And then we find out episodes later, we're talking about weeks later, that Lindsay's so upset. Amanda's like, I don't understand. I tried. And what does Lindsay say to her? You never tried to make it right. Amanda's like, I'm sorry, what? I texted you. Now, one text does not necessarily make it all right, but we're just leading. We're leading here. We're two-stepping.
You can't say that she didn't try.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah, that's why it's just kind of exhausting. And that's why I guess I don't understand the overwhelming love for Lindsay in this moment. Or this season, quite frankly.
Well, yeah, and Danielle says to her that this is the nail in the coffin and that they're done. And Lindsay goes, we've been done, sweetheart.
Oh, yeah, the sweetheart killed me.
You aren't going to ruin the West
day of my life.
You aren't going to ruin the rest of my weekend. Danielle tells Lindsay, and Lindsay goes, you've already done that to my husband, sweetheart. Oh. What? You're married now?
God.
Disgusting. Just kidding.
God, really though.
But look how Freudian that is. Like, look at that slip. Yeah. She's just so connected to that.
My husband. Yeah, but then Danielle goes and kind of collapses on the floor.
Well, she wasn't expecting the girls to be there to embrace her.
The women were there to embrace her. The mean girls. The mean girls were there.
The mean girls, the Bedsore sisters, they were all there to embrace her. And Danielle is overcome with emotion because I don't think that she expected that.
Sure.
And knowing that they're there just really allows her to feel all the things that she's feeling. And I guess, they're only there because they want to I can't. They want to outs Lindsay, so that's the only reason why they're there.
You can't be responsible for Lindsay. Lindsay could have had an entirely different conversation in the kitchen that would have gone completely different. So, all they're doing is reacting to Danielle and, wanting to pick her up because she's distraught. And I think even Paige says this. She's like, she is mourning a loss of a friendship, whereas Lindsay now cut to is like laughing outside with Carl and like doing whatever she's doing.
Well, she's outside telling Carl that Danielle yelled and that she remained calm, cool, and collected.
Yep.
And Danielle hated that so much so that Danielle points out that Lindsay has a smug fucking face, which she does. And the rendition that Lindsay is giving Carl, like, there are half truths. Some of that happened, but for the most part, none of that happened at all. Like, Danielle never shouted and yelled at her. Now, she projected and was impassioned, but she didn't scream, she didn't yell, she didn't shout, she didn't cut her down. She was just trying to tell her what she felt. And because she kept stonewalling her, Danielle got more upset and more frustrated, which only gives Lindsay the arsenal to say that Danielle overreacted and Danielle didn't handle herself with maturity like Lindsay did, because it's really mature to stonewall somebody and completely act as though you don't give a flying fuck what they're saying. Although you went into the party saying that you knew you were going to have a conversation with her, but you just didn't say that you were just going to stand there and say nothing.
Correct. Or just repeat what she said.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I could understand why she was getting upset, because I think, I don't remember in the episode if she says, I feel so stupid, or maybe it was in the confessional or something. But like, I think there's an element that Danielle's like, God, I feel like, what an idiot am I? That like, I've been in this relationship for so long and you don't care. Mm-mm. You don't give a flying fuck about me. And what a shitty thing to feel.
Well, yeah. And Lindsay goes, well, I shut down when I stopped caring and when someone has treated me this way. Like, treated you what way? What way? What way? What way?
What about love?
We get some insight from none other than Craig Conover, who tells Kyle that it's a war zone inside, and Kyle has no earthly idea what's going on. And he said that Lindsay stormed out, and now she's talking to Carl. And she's a good fighter, man. Lindsay said, you're not coming to the wedding, and Danielle said, good.
Yeah.
Well, because she is mean. Yeah. Craig says that. Craig's like, this is how she is.
Talking about Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then next we see Kyle, Carl, and Lindsay. So while Lindsay and Carl are talking, Kyle comes in to try to, I think, mitigate and try to get both sides of what's going on.
Yeah.
And the second that Kyle even remotely even is giving a little bit that may be seemingly trying to be fair.
I'm out of here.
Y'all talk about this. I'm out. Why? It's not like, yes, it's about
Face your
Carl.
problems. Face your problems,
exactly.
Lindsay.
Face your fucking problems.
Just like Carl, you can't run away from your problems. Mm-hmm. Face them.
Why? Why can't she face it? Why can't she hear what Kyle has to say? Why?
Because it's not going to 100% align with her.
I think that Carl thinks that Lindsay's wrong.
Oh, yeah, but he
isn't saying a fucking thing.
Not going to say that.
No. Because when Lindsay starts telling him like some of the things that happened and what she said, you can tell that Carl's like, oh, like taken aback just a little bit. And Kyle tries to talk to her. Nope, she runs out. I mean, I don't understand why people can't pick up on like, this is patterned behavior.
I don't know. I see it clearly.
Oh yeah, we can all see clearly. The rain is gone. Then we see Danielle leave the party and go and cry in the bathroom,
and then go to the bed.
Yeah, which is really upsetting.
Yeah. Well, it just shows that she cared more about this, and it just makes me sad.
It does. It makes me sad, and there's just no reconciliation. I mean, this season ended kind of the way that it's been all season. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot of contention, and it feels like no one's being heard, and no one's actually having hard and fast conversations in a productive way. I think Lindsay was being very reductive. I can understand that she doesn't owe Danielle anything, and I know that. That's not lost on me. She doesn't owe her anything, but I think that given their friendship, the history of their friendship, I think that Lindsay at least owed her the time to have a real conversation.
Correct. Yeah. If it meant anything to her. I think she went into that weekend already, like she said, I've been done. I'm shut down. Well, if you've been done and you're shut down, then don't be open to a conversation.
And also, not for nothing, Lindsay's been treating Danielle this way before the engagement.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that Lindsay's like, well, knowing what she said to my friends and all this, like, I'm done. No, you were already done. And it's unfortunate that Danielle fucked up and was acting like crazy that day, because all it did was
prove her right.
Yep.
Yeah. See, she's not happy for me.
Correct.
Instead of being like, this seems unnormal for my friend to be acting like this, maybe I should check in a real way and kind of see what's going on. But she doesn't get that grace.
It makes me sad that people can, to me, just easily toss aside friendships. It's okay for Lindsay to be upset, and it's okay for them to be fighting, and it's okay for them to not be on the same page and to have contention and not agree with each other. And it's okay for their friendship to be in a lull. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I think that throwing the friendship away it just feels like a lot. I personally just didn't think that what's transpired over the last few years and what we've seen really gave reason to end the friendship and sever it like this just because of a couple of little things here and there.
Yeah.
Not little. I mean, it was wrong, but you know what I mean? Like, it just felt like you said, the punishment didn't fit the crime to me.
No.
Nope. Not at all.
But she's moving on to bigger, better things, Carl. And, la-di-da.
La-di.
La-di-da.
Well, we end season 7 there, and we get a little teaser to the reunion, which looks like it's probably the best part of the whole show.
Which I thought was last night.
I know.
Turns out it's next week.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be a 3-parter? I hope not.
No, God, no. God,
Just
no.
one part?
No, I think it's 2 parts.
25 minutes?
That's Bessie's dream, is to watch a show in 15 minutes and recap it.
Recap it for 3 hours, though.
Yeah. That's really us. That really is us.
Oh, God.
But yeah, we see Paige being confused because, Lindsay and Carl, wouldn't this be an expensive lie to keep up?
Oh, yeah.
I know. Well,
I don't work.
that's what I'm saying.
God,
Neither one of you have jobs.
Paige, I love you. I really do.
Same. And Paige is calling it like she sees it. And Paige has been calling Lindsay out since day one. And I don't want to confuse that with she's been trying to oust her. She has been calling out since she met Lindsay. I mean, this is how she's felt.
Holding her accountable for things that she's doing.
Correct.
So.
Mm-hmm. So can't wait.
It looks good. I have to say, it looks like it's going to be entertaining. So
I hope so. I hope they're not fucking us. I hope they're not like cock teasing us.
I'm interested to see what the tease is with like Danielle knowing something or something else kind of happened that she's going to divulge.
If there's something that she's revealing that is significant in a way that she didn't want to talk about on the show, I think maybe that gives reason to why Carl and Lindsay have been behaving the way. I mean, they're just. Because let's face it, this just doesn't feel like really. This is okay.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Unless Lindsay never really held her with high regard. Like, I think it's clear that Danielle was very in the friendship, but like if it's that easy for Lindsay to throw this away, maybe she just didn't care all along. I don't know.
I mean, I'm hoping, at least for Lindsay's sake, that there is something that reveals and gives credence to why Lindsay's been acting this way. I'd like to give her a little latitude.
All right. Well, we'll see. We shall see.
We shall see. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for the Summer House season finale.
We finally made it.
Recap.
I like that we did the first episode of Summer House and the last.
What do you mean?
We did 2 episodes of Summer House. I mean, I know you did more. I was only a part of like 3.
Why are you trying to remind me? Okay. I've been tormented. Okay. I feel battered. I feel abused. I feel abused because Summer House, for whatever reason, has been a curse since day one of recapping the show.
Yeah,
horrific. It's been horrific. A lot of technical difficulties.
Well, hopefully this will seamlessly get out to y'all.
I mean, we're here. We're at the end, so I feel proud.
Yeah,
most of the problems have been like prior to recording.
Good.
Well, not with Summer House Martha's Vineyard. I accidentally deleted like half the episode. So, and then I just wanted to cry, and I got high and sat there on the couch and, was wondering about my life and where I'm going.
Yeah.
Felt lost. I felt a little lost.
Yeah.
But all right, guys, thank you for joining us. As always, please do not forget to like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. And Betsy, do you have any final words? Do you have any final words before I never talk to you again?
Believe it or not, we've had some good times. Okay.
Let the good times roll, baby.
Yeah.
Donate a cocktail. DM us with any of your burning questions. And thank you to all of those who have already donated a cocktail. We really appreciate.
Thank you.
We really appreciate all that you've contributed.
Yes.
Yes, it does go noticed. It's not unnoticed.
Yes. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, this is the part of the episode where I don't know how to end, and I'm like, what?
Neither of us do.
Yeah.
We're always like, okay, all right, guys, love you, goodbye. All right, so goodbye, love you.
Goodbye.
Rate stars, like, comments. It's like I don't even know what to say.
It's all right.
Okay, awkward.
All right, guys.
Goodbye.
We'll see you later.
Yeah. Hear you later.
We'll hear you later.